Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Joe Davis, Southern New Hampshire University, CJ 202. Report writing is actually, I think, writing for criminal justice professionals. We're going to talk about discussion 1-1. What I'd like to do is be able to help you understand the rubric so that you can do the best you can on all of your discussion questions. The first part of the rubric, the first critical element, is comprehension. Develops an individual post with an organized, clear point of view or idea using rich and significant detail. Okay, a meaningful paragraph, might even be two. Timeliness, you have to submit your initial post to achieve maximum points by Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. Engagement, you need to provide relevant and meaningful response posts with clarifying explanation and detail to two of your peers. Okay, so you can't just use the one sentence that you agree and the second sentence is that you thought that was a good point that they made. No, it needs to be something meaningful and helpful and valuable to this conversation, just as if you were sitting in class. Okay. Finally, writing mechanics. The posts were easily understood. Read them out loud is what I'll write back soon. Just read this post out loud and tell me if it makes any sense to you. Understood, clear, and concise, using proper citation methods where appropriate and applicable. Let's take a look at the actual rubric so you can see this in the form that is in the Blackboard shell. Okay, here we go. Here is the discussion rubric for undergraduate students, and the note in yellow says that it'll be effective for term 17 EW5 and all those moving forward. On the left hand side, this is what I was talking about, that your initial post is due on Thursday night at 11:59. The first week it's 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. After that it's 11:59 p.m. in your own time zone. Over here on the right is where you have to reply to two other students by Sunday night at 11:59 your time zone. Okay. If you reply to me, I'm not considered one of the two students. So sometimes your post maybe doesn't have enough substance to it, so I'll send you an email and ask you about it, but then I'll also post a question back to you. And if you answer that question, then you've got a more complete answer and you improve your grade. If you reply to me, that doesn't count as two students because it says classmates, okay? Down here at the bottom you can see the actual rubric itself where it talks about comprehension. Here's where I got the information about comprehension. Timeliness, got it over here. If you're 1 day late, you lose almost half your points. 2 days late, you lose all of the points. So by submitting your initial post 2 days late, you've eliminated the chance of getting an A. It's that simple. Okay. Then engagement provides relevant information, just like we talked about. And then if we go down here to the next page, there are the comments, the critical element for writing mechanics. So now you've seen the actual rubric itself. Okay, what I would suggest you do for all of our discussions, but any of them, is break down the question. And so the first part of this question is asking you choose one of the following, and that is, do you want to be a police officer, a probation, parole, prosecutor, defense attorney, victim advocate, or a judge for this particular answer, because you're going to evaluate well-written and poorly written reports based on these positions. Okay, so if we move to the second part here where it says discuss the difference between a well-written and a poorly written report as it applies to your chosen profession, in other words one of the ones you selected. Okay, what I'm offering to you is what that's really asking. It's really saying who uses the reports, how do they use them, and what are the resultant problems with poorly written reports. Because if the reports are written well, there wouldn't be much of anything to discuss. So that's what you're looking for to answer. Okay, where do you find the answer? We'll do this live here in just a moment. But in Blackboard, you go to the Learning Modules, click on that, then you click on Module 1, then you click on Module Overview, and as you'll see, most of the answer is in the overview. It's only a page and a half, really. And then if you go to Module Resources, there's a document for report examples, and that will give you two examples, poorly written, well written, two different scenarios, two different reports. So let's go to Blackboard and take a look and see what all that looks like. Okay, here we are at the announcements page where you would traditionally, it opens up. So we go over here on the left hand side and we get to learning modules, and we click on learning modules. We're coming down here to module 1. We click on module 1, and then we come down here to the module overview, and that opens up a Word doc. And as you can see, it is only about a page and a half, not very much at all. But if you read that page and a half, you'll have the basis for your answering the discussion question and answering it very well and getting a high mark. Okay, writing's of vital importance. Details of an instance will help tell the story what happened. So you can see that information's all there for you about how to get the best possible grade, and all you had to do was read the module overview. Next we come to module resources, where it says textbook. That really is not the textbook. It is a chapter from Mike Biggs's an earlier edition of his book, and frankly I'm not sure why it's in there. It doesn't relate to what we're doing this week. But with that said, here when we find where it says written report examples, that Word doc will open for us, and it should show you, oh, there it went, there we go. There's our example paper, so you can see a poorly written police report, or at least short narrative for this one, and then you can see underneath it the well-written version. Okay, for those of you that listen to the module overview, you know I've written 3 college textbooks on this, and so I went through and made the corrections in the grammar and spelling errors. Okay, so there's the second one for you, the third one for you. There are 3 examples so that you have them. So now you have the material in the overview that tells you about why and who uses these reports and why that's important, and you have examples that you can review to see which profession you're in, if you're going to be the defense attorney or the prosecutor, why it would be valuable to you to have a well-written report, or it could be value if it's a poorly written report. Okay, that takes us back to our listing. If you have any questions, please let me know. Use the general questions in the discussion so everybody can see. If you have a question, probably somebody else does too. Let me know what I can do to help you, and keep those cards on